Hey, welcome back to the Crabby Dice. Today we're looking at an expansion for Shakespeare called Shakespeare Backstage. So I'm going to break this video down different than my other ones because there's three unique modules for this one. I'll talk about each of them separately and I'll give you my thoughts for each one as I go. Alright, let's talk about the first one. Alright, let's talk about the first part, which are new objective cards. So there's one that's just like a base objective. Just add that one to the deck at all times. Who cares? You got four more here, and these objectives aren't actual objectives. What happens is if you take this card during the ambience phase, you're going to trigger the part that's at the bottom over here. So for example, if you took this card, you go up on once on each of the tracks, and then you discard this card, take some parts, discard the card, take a golden tile, or just gain 3 ambience. Alright, so that's what you do with these. I like to play with them. You draw 3 and pick one anyway, so the chances of one of these coming out it's about average, so just add those to the regular deck. Alright, module 2, new characters. All new characters. They're all amazing except for one, so let's go through them. I'll go more into detail. So you got this new concept here with these double costume characters instead of the triple that are in their base game. So these guys, just for I guess rule's sake, they don't count towards completed costume objectives, so you fill them up not to count as costumes, and they don't count towards the rehearsal either. They don't add their tokens during rehearsal. How they work is basically when you activate them, you gain the top left, but if you filled up their costume spaces, you also add what's in the bottom right. So if I had 2 costume spaces here, when I activate him, I'll gain 2 red instead of 1 red. That's how these guys work. So you got 1 for every color. Alright, and then you got Richard over here. One of my favorite new cards in the game is just activating him. You go up once on each track, but you lose an ambience. Or if you have 2 costume spaces, you don't even go down on the ambience, you just go up one on each track. That's super powerful. Alright, now we're going to talk about the 4 new cards here. They're all pretty amazing. I like them. She's one of my favorite new cards in the game. Her rehearsal power is super strong, one of the strongest in the game. You pick 2 tracks, go up the track, and you can activate her to get one of those +3 chits, which is always amazing. Alright, then you have some take that guys. So you have here the Ghost and what's this guy, Caliban, who make people go down on one of the tracks of their choice. Pretty awesome. And then you got Mark Anthony, pretty mean as well. Everyone loses a coin. It's pretty good also. You gain up 2 tracks. Now we're going to talk about the bear. So what I would do if I were you, these cards, play with them all the time, just add them to the deck, shuffle them in. This bear, either rip up the card, leave it in the box. Don't ever play with this bear. This bear sucks. This bear breaks the game. Essentially his power is you get an action before any other player in turn order. So this guy just makes it so that you're going to bid 5 every single turn. Why? Because you don't care about going first or bidding low to go first, because you're going to go first no matter what every turn anyway. So what's the point of wasting actions when you'll just, if you really want a character and you have the bear, just bid 5 and just pick that character as your first action. I mean, I've seen he breaks the core concept of the game of the bidding at the beginning. So you got to choose between bidding low and going first so you get less actions, or bidding high to go last and get more actions, right? So with this guy, you don't even have to follow that anymore. It's stupid. It breaks the game. Also, another stupid thing, if you bid low, you basically take 2 turns in a row, and I've seen somebody basically deplete one whole section of resources before anyone else can even do a turn because of this stupid bear. Alright, not a fan. Throw it back in the box. Don't look at it, pretend it doesn't exist. Alright, module 3, we're finally going to get to talk about the backstage cards. So these are the bulk of the cards that you'll get in that flimsy cardboard box. Alright, so the way these work is, well, I'll just talk about the setup first. So you're going to lay out the same exact amount of cards as you do with the characters. So in a 3-player game, it's 5. So what I like to do, just to show you, is if I'm going to line up my 5 characters down here, I normally set up my 5 backstage cards on top of the board. Alright, but just for example's sake, I'll just flip it over here. We'll flip over 5 cards. And now the way these work is the bid tokens that you don't use during phase 2 could be used on these cards. I'll show you an example because maybe that sentence made no sense. So during phase 1, we're bidding for turn order. So let's say I bid 3, right? So normally in a normal game, what would happen is I would bid 3. Now these 3 I would be able to do my actions with on my player board. So I would use these 3 on my player board. And now these 2 in the normal game I would just dump here because they would be lost for the whole turn. But now in this expansion, these 2 tokens could be used on these characters over here to do actions. Alright, so it adds a bit of variety to the game. So if I want, I can go here to get a golden token because it requires 2 tokens and so on and so on. So that's how these work. Pretty simple. Normally what I like to do is put the tokens next to this card over here just to show everyone how many backstage tokens you have left to be placed here. Alright, so what are some good and some bad parts to this? Some very bad parts to this: it will add 20 to 30 minutes to your game no matter what. You're all going to be doing 1 or 2 extra actions every single turn, so think of it in a 4-player game, at least an extra action. So that's 6 times 4. It's a lot of actions. All right, so that's bad. Another bad thing is it sort of reduces the importance of the bidding at phase 1. Even if you don't make the perfect bid, you might just look at these cards and just lose some tokens on purpose just so you can activate some of these powers that you really want to do. So that's not the best. What's good is if you're playing with experienced players and get the time of the game down, it does add some variety to the game, so it mixes it up a little bit. It's like sometimes you can get some gold tokens if they're out there and stuff like that, which normally you wouldn't be able to do, and do some extra funky things. Alright, so let's go over all the components, modules, and I'll tell you which ones I always play with or not. So the objectives, always play with them, shuffle them in your deck, they're cool. The characters, they're really awesome, shuffle them in your deck, play with them all the time except for that bear. I don't want to see his face ever again. The backstage cards, 50-50. If I'm playing with newer players, don't play with them, definitely not. It'll add too much time to the game. With experienced players, I would definitely play with it maybe 50% of the time, just to insert some variety into the game. Alright, so those are the 3 modules. I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you on the next one.